Okay, the first concept is one that you guys already know most likely, and that is, what's the sum of the angles in a triangle? Good. So the sum of the interior angles of a triangle is equal to 180 degrees. Okay, so again, just a real straightforward concept for this. If you looked at these angles down here, it's basically saying that angle 2 plus angle 3 plus angle 5 is equal to 180. Okay, so if we look at this first example, again, as straightforward as you could get. If you label angle 5 as 70 degrees, angle 3 30, what does that mean is left for angle 2? 30 plus 70 plus angle 2 would have to equal 180, and so angle 2 would be left to be, again, subtracting a 100 from both sides, you'd be left with 80 degrees. Okay, again, as straightforward as you can get. Okay, I want you to take just a moment and see if you can answer question 2 on your own. It's a little more complex, but still a relatively basic type of question. And see if you can come up with the answer. All right, there's 2 ways to approach this. How many of you set up 2x plus 3x plus 5x equals 180? Okay, so probably most of you will tend to set up in that way. That's thinking in terms of part to part. All right, so if you have angle 2 represents 2 times some multiplier, angle 3 is 3 times that same multiplier, angle 5 is 5 times the same multiplier, you know that the total sum of all those has to equal 180, so then you can solve. Get a total of 10x is equal to 180. Divide both sides by 10, you get x is equal to 18. Once you have that measure, you can then plug it back into each of these angles. So the measure of angle 2 is 2 times 18, or 36. Measure of angle 3 is 3 times 18, so 3 times 10 is 30, 3 times 8 is 24, 30 plus 24 is 54. And then finally, measure of angle 5 is 5 times 18, 5 times 10 is 50, 5 times 8 is 40, 50 plus 40 leaves you with 90. So if you compare these to see, do the sum of all these add up to 180 degrees? Yes, so you confirm that you have the right answer. And now, did anybody think in terms of part to whole? Okay, good. The more you can think in terms of that, I think it's a more efficient way to approach. But if you're able to think of these, if you have 2 parts, 3 parts, and 5 parts, the total number of parts is the sum of all those, so 10. And so what this is saying is that angle 2 represents 2/10 of the whole thing. Well, the whole thing was 180. Angle 3 represents 3/10 of the whole thing, 180. And angle 5 represents 5/10 or 1/2 of the whole thing, 180. And in those cases, you'd still wind up with 36, 54, and 90. Often, again, it winds up being a direct solution to the numbers you're looking for.